My 20-year-old lover is pregnant. I like younger women, so I want a divorce. These words suddenly fell upon me. I knew that Todd had a lover, but I was shocked to learn that she was pregnant. And what does he mean by liking younger women? It's not funny at all. However, the next words Todd spoke shocked me even more. I'm also planning to move in with my lover soon. I'm sorry, but I need you to leave this house. I want a divorce, but I hope you'll continue working. I feel that we no longer need PR, but other employees still think it's necessary, Todd continued. At that moment, the door opened without a knock, and a young woman entered. Is it over, Todd? I instinctively knew that this woman was Todd's lover, an unforgivable person who deprived me of my happiness. But the next moment, I doubted my ears. She came here for a surprising reason. After hearing her reason, I began to devise a plan. My name is Daisy Miller, and I am 45 years old. Born in spring, I was named Daisy. Despite its simple origin, I am very fond of this name. My parents have passed away, and as I grow older, my attachment to this name strengthens. Not many people compliment my name, but Todd has liked it since we first met. Daisy, like the name of a flower? It's cute. Your parents must have been wonderful. I met Todd just after graduating from university. After failing at job hunting, I was working part-time at a convenience store while desperately searching for a full-time career. At that part-time job, I met Todd, who was in a similar situation. Being the same age and sharing similar circumstances, we quickly connected and began building a deep bond. Even as part-timers, we held great hopes for the future and shared a common determination to succeed. I chose my university carelessly and spent years without a specific goal, but Todd's situation was entirely different. He confided in me. I planned to work at other companies to gain knowledge and experience after graduation. However, an unexpected development occurred, and now I am preparing to start my own business. During his university days, Todd primarily studied economics, but he also studied computer science. Foreseeing that the future market would shift towards technology, he decided, I am determined to establish my own IT company. When Todd spoke about his ambitions, his expression was bright and full of life. His passion strongly influenced me, making me respect and love him even more. As we started dating, sharing our youth and common dreams, we quickly came to understand each other deeply. When I revealed my feelings to Todd, he warmly accepted them, and we became even closer. We officially became a couple, and the time we spent together, even while working part-time, became exceptionally enjoyable. Todd increased his part-time jobs and began working multiple jobs as he prepared to start his own business. His effort and dedication showed how much he was committed to realizing his dreams. Seeing him work almost without sleeping, I worried about his health and suggested we start a business together. This proposal offered me a chance to save money and simultaneously reduce Todd's excessive burden. Initially, Todd felt anxious about this new endeavor, but sensing my determination and serious attitude, he eventually opened up and accepted the proposal. I persuaded my parents, who constantly urged me to find a full-time job, and to reassure them, I continued working part-time while systematically saving for startup funds over the span of about 5 years. Todd also used his past savings and, working more hours than I did, we were able to achieve our fundraising goal sooner than expected. Daisy, thanks to you, all preparations are complete. It will start in a small room, but this finally realizes our company, he said, and with those words he hugged me firmly. Although establishing the company and realizing our dream brought great joy, our part-time jobs continued as before. Finding new employment was more difficult than expected, and our cherished savings gradually depleted. As a result, stress increased, and frequent arguments about continuing our work led to a tense atmosphere every day. Yet, I continued my earnest efforts, promoting our business while working part-time and aggressively launching many advertisements online. This hard work finally bore fruit, catching the eye of a well-known company's CEO, and our business rapidly began to attract attention. Todd was tearful with joy at this opportunity, and as a result of working through the night, our project was a huge success, allowing us to earn an unprecedented amount of money. The moment we received this huge profit, filled with hope for the future, Todd proposed with a broad smile. "Now I can finally marry you, Daisy. Will you marry me?" I wholeheartedly accepted his proposal, and we got married, overflowing with happiness. Just as we started our new life, the workload increased, and we began to live busy days without much time to slowly savor our happiness. Despite the busyness, the company continued to grow steadily, moving from the small room we started in to a high-rise building located in a prime area. Business was going smoothly, and the progress of our operations was rapid. However, as the company grew, so did the media attention, and we began to normalize daily TV and magazine interviews, which started to influence us. Life's changes are unpredictable, and we, who once worked part-time at a convenience store, had now achieved great success and became figures of public interest. Sometimes we felt like letting loose and relaxing, but the livelihoods of many employees depended on us, so our sense of responsibility was significant. Our company's growth was not solely due to our efforts, but was supported by the support and efforts of many people. As long as we remember this, there should be no problems. However, the situation gradually began to change. Todd's late-night social activities increased, and our life rhythms began to diverge. His spending became increasingly extravagant, often spending tens of thousands in one night, and I could not help but feel concerned about this lifestyle. "Todd, even though we have enough money, isn't this lifestyle problematic in the long run?" I asked him quietly one day when our conversations had decreased. However, Todd's reaction was unexpected. "It's my money that I earned, so I don't see why I should be criticized for how I spend it. I need social settings too," he retorted. Day by day, his alcohol consumption increased, and this change also affected his personality. Once filled with dreams and charm, his words no longer held the same allure. He seemed to believe he was running the company we started together all by himself. Despite my significant contributions to the company, it seemed like he was not seeing my efforts. Although I don't possess technical skills, I have consistently handled public relations since the company's inception and contributed to its growth. However, now that our company has become well known, Todd thinks we no longer need advertising activities. The days when we both worked part-time at a convenience store during financially unstable times now seemed nostalgic. Those times were more enjoyable, and Todd seemed much brighter than now. Those memories gradually began to dominate my thoughts. Recently, with the changes, Todd's behavior had been noticeably influenced by another woman, as he rarely came home anymore. I could not directly ask him about this, but I strongly felt her involvement. He almost ignored me now, while the frequency of him coming home with luxury items for women had visibly increased. Todd might have thought he was hiding the fact, but just seeing the branded bags he brought home made it pretty obvious. When I first saw this, I was excited, hoping it was a surprise gift for me, but unfortunately, such moments of surprise never came. That was when I painfully realized the luxury brand items being purchased were clearly for someone else. The humiliation and shock were indescribable, and for me it was an unprecedented sadness. Yet, I still loved Todd and wholeheartedly believed that the days when we could laugh together again would return. However, I quickly realized that the likelihood of such days returning was almost nil. Despite this difficult situation, I remained loyal to my duties and fulfilled my responsibilities as the public relations manager. No matter what Todd did or said, the consequences of neglecting this job were clear. While my relationship with Todd did not improve, my colleagues within the company continued to show respect towards me. Furthermore, employees aware of Todd's unfaithful behavior understood the situation and even showed sympathy. In essence, Todd's actions were blatantly indicating his involvement with another woman, and the frequency of these incidents was only increasing. In such circumstances, I strongly felt that parting with him was inevitable. Whether I could decide to make that decision on my own was still unclear, but I was preparing myself mentally. If Todd thought I would silently overlook his affairs with other women, he was clearly mistaken. Although I could not grasp his true intentions, I could no longer endure this humiliating situation. After that, Todd never returned to the room we had shared. Our time together had already been decreasing, and it was unlikely that Todd would ever set foot in this room again. While I was away, his belongings were gradually moved out, and soon all traces of his presence had vanished from the room. I had been suggested to change the name on the lease, but I had absolutely no intention of agreeing to such procedures. For the time being, I continued to commute to the company out of necessity until I found a new place to live. Employees did not openly say anything, but they were aware of the rumors about Todd and his new partner. I know they might sympathize with me, but instead of despairing over my current situation, I spent my days thinking about how to handle it. Caught up in such negative thoughts, my spirits had gradually sunk. One day, out of the blue, Todd told me, "My 20-year-old lover is pregnant. I like younger women, so I want a divorce." I was aware that Todd had a lover, but I was shocked to learn she was pregnant. And what does he mean by liking younger women? It's not funny at all. Those words suddenly filled my head. There was so much more I truly wanted to say. However, I was dumbfounded by the words Todd chose. I had never imagined he could be so shallow. Is he even sane? Is this how you say goodbye to a partner with whom you've worked for many years? I have dedicated my life to making his dreams come true, yet to be discarded so easily. However, the next words Todd spoke shocked me even more. "I'm also planning to move in with my lover soon. I'm sorry, but I need you to leave this house. I want a divorce, but I hope you'll continue working. I feel that we no longer need PR, but other employees still think it's necessary." Todd continued, "Now that it has come to this, I'll pay some alimony. Let's avoid any trouble from here on out, shall we? It'll be difficult for you to find a job at your age." Todd condescendingly assumed I had nowhere to go. Yes, the divorce papers. "I'm quitting my job." As Todd made various excuses, I threw the divorce papers at him. He looked incredulous as I sat in front of him, having wanted the divorce himself. Todd looked displeased at my eerie smile. "What? You should take responsibility and continue working." Todd was confident that the company would function without me, but after strong appeals from the employees, it became clear that my departure would harm the company. Even though I was determined to divorce, Todd implied that I shouldn't quit my job. He thought everything would go his way, but he couldn't hide his surprise when I cheerfully said, "I'm quitting my job." "Wait, do you understand what you're saying? Are you planning to take a break?" "That would be fine, but you can't just do as you please." There was still no sign of panic on Todd's face. It seemed he thought I had blurted out something strange in my shock. "That's impossible." Because that woman, at that moment, the door opened without a knock, and a young woman entered. "Is it over, Todd?" Her blonde hair was curled, and her youthful face was buried in thick makeup. She was wearing a revealing outfit, glanced at me, and then walked towards Todd. "Ah, Claire, your timing is perfect. We've just finished talking." Todd said to the woman he called Claire, who was his pregnant lover. Bringing a lover into the workplace was outrageous, but Todd was beyond caring about decency. "I'm worried, so Claire will stay here for a while. I want you to sign the divorce papers soon, but I hope you'll continue working," Todd stated coldly, without ever looking me in the eye. I was stunned with anger and couldn't move for a while. Before I realized it, the two of them were making out as if I didn't exist. I quietly left the room and walked out of the company. I didn't want to stay there any longer that day. One day, while I was at work, an unexpected person approached me. "Excuse me, may I have a moment?" It was Claire. I felt an urge to attack her but desperately restrained myself. "May I have a moment? How could that be okay?" I wasn't ready for anything yet. How could she, the woman who ruined my life, approach me so casually? Her gaze held my anger and hatred as she began to speak. I had no idea that this conversation would change our fate. During her sudden visit, she continued talking while gauging my reaction. Clearly frightened by the anger in my eyes, she said timidly, "Isn't it strange how I can appear before you so boldly?" Claire looked different from when I had last seen her, wearing modest makeup suitable for an IT company. Her attire was subdued, highlighting her youthfulness. The woman who wreaked havoc on my life was standing before me. The moment I realized she had addressed me, I was filled with anger and hatred. However, as I continued to talk with her, my anger gradually subsided. Strangely, as I calmed down, I found myself not feeling strong hostility towards the woman in front of me. Why was that? Was it a woman's intuition? Noticing the change in my feelings, Claire looked me straight in the eyes and began to speak. "Do you really want to continue working here, in this company, with a husband who betrayed you and his lover?" I see. Unlike when we first met, there was a sincere look of apology in Claire's eyes now. It was earnest enough to cool my anger. Claire continued, "It may be wrong to say this, but I love Todd. The fact that twins are here in my belly is something that can't be changed. So this is all I can do." With that, Claire took a bank book and a cash card out of her bag. When Todd impregnated me before marriage, my parents were furious with him. To take responsibility, Todd gave me almost all the money he had. Well, he deposited it in my name. By this point, I understood what Claire was trying to say. Todd told my parents that he would transfer all his money to me. He thought he could manipulate me because I'm not smart. But I understand that much. Saying this, Claire took out her smartphone and began to operate it. "I would never do anything to betray your daughter. As proof, I will transfer all the assets I have to your daughter." From Claire's smartphone, Todd's voice could be clearly heard. In other words, there was evidence that Todd had transferred all his assets to Claire. I think it's not good for both of us to stay in this company. I know how rude I am being by saying this, but this is the only apology I can offer. While saying this, Claire handed me the bank book and cash card with her name on it. When I faced Todd again, I had to explain everything to him from scratch. Yes, she asked me to take the money and leave the company. She did it because she loves you and wanted to avoid working with your ex-wife. As I spoke, a look of panic began to appear on Todd's face. The sheer absurdity of the situation made it hard for me to suppress my laughter. "You're not saying that's the money I gave to Claire, are you?" Indeed, it was. Todd never intended to genuinely transfer his assets to Claire. It was just temporarily deposited to deceive Claire's parents, believing he could talk his way out of it if questioned. However, things didn't go as he planned. I explained that I had heard Todd's recorded statement on Claire's smartphone, emphasizing that we were not at fault. "The money you gave to Claire, she can use it however she wants, right?" So I accepted it as alimony. Before I could finish, Todd frantically pulled out his smartphone and tried to contact Claire. But it was too late. After I received the money from Claire, a more significant fact came to light. Unaware of this, Todd was about to be greatly shocked by talking to Claire. Claire didn't answer the phone, but after a while, she appeared in front of us. She was neither angry nor sad, and her expression was unreadable. "Claire, what is this all about?" Unaware of Claire's change in demeanor, Todd yelled, his face turning red. Even as Todd shouted and spat, Claire remained unfazed and threw several photos on the table. "Can you explain this?" Todd's complexion turned pale as he looked at the scattered photos. In each photo, Todd was there, but the women varied. Naturally, these weren't just innocent pictures of Todd and unfamiliar women. In every photo, Todd was intimately arm in arm or embracing each woman. Actually, after meeting Claire, I was called again because there was another matter to discuss. It was about Todd's infidelities. Despite having a wife, he had Claire as a lover, and it was discovered that he had several other affairs as well. "I took Todd away from you. But now I've experienced the same thing. It's karma, isn't it? But now I finally see reality. I did love Todd, but I understand what my future holds," Claire said, gently caressing her swollen belly as she looked down. "Having finished my role, I was abruptly told by Todd that we would divorce, and I witnessed that scene. Claire understands what is going to happen to her now. It's unfortunate, but that's the kind of person Todd is. You're still young, you can start over." Somehow I found myself sympathizing with Claire, the lover I should have hated. She might have stolen my happiness, but now she is a fellow victim. Fundamentally, Todd is the one at fault. He irresponsibly impregnated Claire and behaved as it suited him. Claire and I formed an unusual bond and vowed revenge against our common enemy, Todd. That's why I knew Claire would come here today. Did you think I wouldn't notice? I wonder what's so good about a scum like you. With all this evidence presented, Todd had no room to argue. There was only one thing Todd could do: don't mess with me. How dare you do something so underhanded? It's defamation. Give back the money I entrusted. That's all he could do, irrationally shout in anger. Do you remember saying clearly in front of this child, "I will transfer it to your daughter," and now you demand a refund? Truly, you are a disgraceful man. There was no mistake in my words. Without the strength to retort, Todd just stomped his feet furiously on the spot. If the CEO is this incompetent, I can see where this company is headed. That's why I'm resigning. Todd understood what it would mean for me to leave the company and didn't want to anger me further. His anger gradually shifted to Claire, this fraudster. You approached me from the start with money in mind. Thinking this, Todd stood up, visibly angry. However, Claire remained composed. Really? Such a worthless man. I considered forgiving you if you showed remorse for the sake of the child I'm carrying, but I'm thoroughly tired of you now. With those words, Claire removed a ring that Todd seemed to have given her. There's no way I'd marry you. I refuse. Then, she violently threw the ring at Todd. Todd stood frozen, just staring blankly at Claire. Pathetic. You understand, don't you, that this isn't the end? When I said this meaningfully, Todd exploded in anger. Are you threatening me? The luxurious life we've had until now was thanks to me. This situation looked pitiful. I felt an urgent desire to sever ties with him completely. Just to make it clear, this company's growth is not thanks to you. Remember what would have happened if you had continued working part-time. Whose efforts do you think the company relies on? When faced with the truth, Todd's face turned even redder. Really pathetic. Incapable of anything but womanizing. If you think you're so competent, Stop depending on your wife, Claire said mockingly and left the scene. Soon you'll be ridiculed by everyone. No one will see you for who you really are. A truly miserable life awaits you. With those parting words, I followed Claire. Though she acted tough, Claire was pregnant. We were no longer enemies. Wait a minute. I caught up with Claire just as she was leaving the company building. Hearing my voice, Claire turned around, tears streaming down her face. We're even now. Claire said this, and I handed back the bank book and cash card that she had given me earlier. This belongs to you. I shouldn't have it. As I refused, Claire gently pushed my hand back. I cannot accept that. This is a gift from me to you. I had felt from the beginning when she handed me the bank book that Claire truly loved Todd. It might be needed in the future, but for her, it's just a piece of paper now. Then, please accept at least half. Even if we go to court, Todd no longer has any money left. So, consider this as alimony. Don't you think it's the best for both of us? At my suggestion, Claire returned a smile. Although there was evidence of ownership, I hired a lawyer to double-check and consider the distribution of these funds. Let's seek as much alimony as possible, beyond this money. At my words, Claire nodded firmly. A few days later, I decided to resign from the company. I felt sorry for the employees who supported me, but I couldn't endure any more humiliation. I think you all understand, but unfortunately, this company is unsustainable. It may seem irresponsible, but I have written letters of recommendation to a friend's company. I guarantee good treatment there. I thanked each employee that was involved in this situation. I promised to find them suitable new positions and provide support for their immediate living needs. Why Todd was silent while listening to this. As one's reputation grows, so does the number of both good and bad occurrences. We were a couple frequently featured in the media as business owners. Therefore, Todd's scandal became a prime subject for the media. The source of this story was Claire, the affairs of a competent business owner who often appeared on TV, and the fact that he had impregnated another woman. As a result, the press surrounded the company. For a business owner where trust is everything, this scandal had a disastrous impact. The phone calls canceling business deals never stopped. Nuisance calls and complaints continued unabated. In this situation, Todd had virtually no right to complain. Fearing a rebellion from the employees, Todd obediently left the cleanup to me. It's over. No matter what I said to Todd, his eyes were empty, and he just repeated the same words. This is all self-inflicted. Truly pitiful. Even as I condemned him, all he could do was apologize. The savings we built together. The days we worked tirelessly without rest. We never imagined that such efforts could vanish so effortlessly. Todd is probably reflecting on his actions for the first time in this situation, thinking that we should have continued to encourage each other if we could go back. Lately, I have been thinking about this, but there is no use dwelling on someone else's past actions. Now, I focus on what I can do and work to help those affected return to their normal lives. Todd, now burdened with a massive debt, was of no help at all. Currently, he is unable to handle anything and is holed up in an office room. Moreover, it has come to light that there were other women involved with Todd, not just Claire. These women were causing a daily commotion in front of the company with the media, making various claims. Obviously, their intention to extract considerable alimony from Todd was clear. According to Claire, all the savings Todd had hidden were used up for alimony to his lovers. Todd has literally become penniless, a shadow of his former self, and was in a very tragic state. He was mentally unstable and unable to hold a normal conversation. As time passed, Todd's reputation did not recover, and it would be difficult for him to find work in the future. The price he had to pay for toying with people's emotions was exceedingly high. Thinking about the chaos Todd will face in the future was terrifying. I calmly observed this situation and fulfilled the remaining duties. Soon after, as I had predicted, the company went bankrupt. Our hard-built business ended in this way. As promised, the former employees received appropriate compensation. As for myself, thanks to the funds shared with Claire, I should be able to live comfortably for a while. I can't just relax, though, as I have a job offer from an acquaintance's company that will allow me to utilize my experience, which I plan to accept. In fact, despite Todd's warning that it would be difficult to change jobs at my age, another person encouraged me, contradicting him. Age is not an issue. It's pointless to worry about his words. Later, during a meeting with the lawyer, Claire cheerfully said this. By then, there were no grudges or grievances between us. We had both had our lives disrupted by the same person, which led us to understand and comfort each other. I hesitated with my question about what she planned to do with the baby, but out of concern and care for her, I ended up asking. I will raise the child alone, she quietly answered. I had anticipated her decision, but hearing it directly from her stirred deep emotions in me. Claire's parents, who had been furious upon learning of her pregnancy and Todd's involvement, learned the truth through the news and decided to offer their support. Their hearts swirled with anger towards Todd for hurting their beloved daughter, but that anger was not directed at Claire. We squeezed quite a lot of money out of him, Claire said with a broad smile. Her words showed how much she had overcome her past with Todd and was now confidently moving towards a new future. While not everything had settled perfectly, Claire and I were certainly starting new lives. As we embarked on new paths, Todd remained unable to free himself from his past. I might have been in the same situation as Todd once was, but I managed to take a step forward with courage. Thinking about that is frightening, but I've resolved to live humbly and not forget gratitude. By doing so, a wonderful future surely awaits us, and surely happiness will come to Claire and the child she carries.